And this is the beginning of my picture with words to describe the numeracy resource, the compilation of numeracy resources here at Waiariki Institute of Technology. You will see on your screen now a picture of the resource, and I'm sorry that you can't see the real hard copy. It's quite extensive. There aren't many hard copies that have been made because of the expense, and we're looking at that. We are also looking at putting this compilation onto a CD, and as well I believe it will be available for you to download from the Literacy and Numeracy for Adults website. So first of all, I'll describe what's in the resource. There are a number of sections in there. The first one is about Waiariki values, and there's a section about the course numeracy demands for some of our qualifications here at Waiariki. In the course numeracy demands is where we've identified the maths needs for that particular qualification, and there is some direction about which lessons you can use from the TEC resources. There's a section on place value, whole numbers and decimals, another on number sequence, another on fractions, percentages, and percentages, decimals and fractions that are working together. There's a section on measurement. And at the back there are some appendices. There's one about whakatauki, which I'll talk about later, a glossary of terms, and of course our references and acknowledgements. If I return to the first slide of the PowerPoint, there's a picture there of a board game. In the resource there is a master for a board game, and the tutors, both the tutors like using the board games and the students like using them as well. It's a really good tactile activity and can be adapted using lots of other resources to work with it. The aim of creating this resource began when the embedding team at Waiariki were working from an office together, and for every qualification that we worked with, we had a file box with our resources that we created for the tutors. And the numeracy resources were scattered, so when we wanted a particular resource, we had to say, well, okay, who's got the resource for place value, that one that I'm looking for, or one you were talking about? And it was an awkward situation. So the aim of creating this resource was to create a pickup, ready-to-use plan. Prepared, deliberate acts of teaching, and the physical resources were right there to hand. So the resource is based on trends that we noticed last year through doing the number knowledge assessment with students. We found last year that the level 1 to 3 numeracy needs were decimals in a big way, fractions, percentages, and working between the three. So that is the focus of this resource. There's nothing in there about addition and subtraction or multiplicative strategies. They can be added to the resource at a later stage. Inside the book, when you get to view it, the various resources could be templates for a place value chart, which we'll see later, a series of wall charts for making connections. Personally, I think it's really important to have wall charts in the classroom so that the students can make the connections between previous learning and the current learning, or to have a reference point if they've forgotten something or need to refresh their memory. So there are a number of wall charts in there. There are number lines, and of course, as I mentioned, there's the board game. There are tactile activities in there, dice games and flashcards, and as well, there are practice worksheets. I encourage the tutors to spend a little time every day at practicing the skills. I tell them that once is not enough, that students need to be revisiting to put the skills into their long-term memory and have them at their fingertips. The picture here is an example from the book. It's about ordering decimal numbers. The picture on this frame is the place value board. The template for this is in the book, and you will see that they've been laminated so the students can work on these place value boards, individuals or with a partner, and using whiteboard felts they can do their addition or subtraction, or even just learning about decimal numbers or number sequence. They can record them on here and they can be reused. So this resource was created for the embedding team and the vocational tutors at Waiariki, and they are about the underpinning support of numeracy knowledge and delivery. The compilation of numeracy supports the TEC resources. The TEC resources must come first. They've got great lesson plans in there already done. What's in the compilation is supportive material. Okay, I will stop now. Are there any questions, please? Wendy asks, are these resources kept in a place where all tutors can access them? Yes. At Waiariki, Wendy, we have a special drive on our computers that is accessible to all academic staff here, and the resources are loaded into this particular drive. So it's really a matter of publicising them and encouraging tutors to go there. I think a hard copy in lots of places for lots of tutors is of more use. I think they're more likely to pick up a hard copy than go to the drive and find it for themselves. Are there any other questions? Great, thanks Wendy. Wendy says she likes the laminated idea and reuse them. That's great, thank you. Okay, our students at Waiariki. We have a number of disengaged learners, a number of second chance learners, and the learner population at Waiariki is reaching 57% Māori, and what's more than 50% are under 25s. Our Māori Advisory Committee, made up of Māori elders, have come up with a set of 8 values which have become Waiariki's values. So along with creating this resource, we have embedded Waiariki's values. They are not unlike Mason Jury's values. He's got 4 of them, we've got 8. So an example of using the values is when setting the scene for learning, we talk a lot about manaakitanga, where there's mutual respect and trust and the basic needs are met. Whanaungatanga, where we know the names, every student's name, we endeavour to pronounce them correctly, we look after our students, class events, food, just caring for them like one of the family. And wairuatanga, about their spiritual needs. And only one example here is the use of karakia. An example of mōhiotanga, partners in the learning process. So these values would be used to help to set the scene in the learning environment. Some other examples of them is to have the day's program, the learning agenda displayed in the classroom. And when this happens, the students they know what's going to happen during the day, and they know when they can take a break. They know how long they have to last until they can go and have morning tea or lunch. And also a lot of talk about why we are learning this. It's okay to ask questions and it's okay to make mistakes is important for our learners, because really that's the way we learn. And talking about how we learn. That's the amazing thing I find about working with adults, is that they are very, very interested in talking about how they learn. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Any more questions, please? Okay, I'll move on. At face value, many of the resources in the book, you may ask, well, what's different about this? What I'm saying is that it's up to the embedding team and the vocational tutor to adapt the resources if need be, to reflect our learners' learning styles, that students in the trades are hands-on people. They respond to group-supported activities. They love a competition from time to time. And we talk to them about the principles of ako, sometimes teacher, sometimes learner, and tuakana taina also. Okay, so Wendy asks, she says, me again, you mentioned food. Do you supply this for groups? Thinking youth. Some tutors have latched onto the food idea. I use it, usually chocolate biscuits, when an example was setting up a times tables challenge. And with this particular class, their target was to have a 95% success rate over 6 weeks, and I promised chocolate biscuits if they could make that. So we spent time in class refreshing our times table knowledge, looking at the difficult times tables and how we could learn those and remember them. And that particular class responded to the challenge. They made the 95% correct, and of course it cost me 3 packets of biscuits. Arcadia says, hi Carolyn, Are we able to access these PowerPoint notes? Yes, they will be on the website from today probably. I know that I can access PowerPoints from other webinars that have been on through the Literacy and Numeracy for Adults website. Hi everyone, you will be able to, oh, there we go. And they'll be ready tomorrow. When will the resource be available for us to use? It's going to be loaded onto the website, and at the end of this PowerPoint I've got a contact email. You can email me. The file is too big to send in one go, so we're working on maybe a CD or getting it to you in some way. Whakatauki have become part of our culture at Waiariki. The embedding team have supported the use of whakatauki as a strategy to focus learners. So, for example, the one that you see on the PowerPoint, Mā te mahi tahi ka tuku, sorry about my pronunciation, together, I think it means together we will make progress. So this whakatauki would be in a classroom, and the tutor and the students would tease out the various meanings and the application for it. There is an appendix of whakatauki at the back of the resource. So you can see from the photo that these are carpentry students from Tokoroa campus, and they were, this particular day, they were really working together to move on with their learning. The pictures in this PowerPoint reflect the use of flashcards and different resources from the book. So the student in the picture has flashcards related to the topic from the previous day's learning, and he is sorting them into categories, a really useful activity. So along with teaching and learning is being aware of working to the known to the unknown, and all of you would be familiar with these principles. Revisiting skills and knowledge using a variety of different approaches, and to me that's really important to get that across to vocational tutors, to spend up to 20 minutes every day reviewing the previous day's work and working with the materials and resources, and again the principles of ako and tuakana taina to enable that learning to happen. Always, and this is reflected right through the resource, the talk to the students is, the message to the students is, you need to know this so that you can do this. There's always a purpose for learning. And this is a student in a classroom which I'm immensely proud of, where the students contribute to the learning on the whiteboard. It's transferred out into the work experience, and this particular tutor is very aware and listens for the students using the language and using the math skills out on practical experience. And of course this is the end result, that the students need to know where their learning is taking them. Okay, so I'd like to acknowledge the Embedding Literacy and Numeracy team at Waiariki and our trades tutors and students who have all contributed to me seeing a need for this literacy resource, numeracy resource. And reflected in the resource are work from the numeracy advisors at the National Centre. Thank you very much to the work that they are doing, and the Putea Arapiki Ako has made this publication possible. And here's the message about accessing